Welcome back to the Hive Mind Headlines Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Tranberg, proud Superintendent of the Branford Public Schools. March is a special time in schools across the country because it is Music in Our Schools Month, a time to celebrate the powerful role that music plays in the lives of students, schools, and communities. Music education does so much more than teach students how to sing or play an instrument. It builds creativity, discipline, collaboration, and confidence. It helps students express themselves, connect with others, and develop skills that carry far beyond the music classroom. In this episode, we're celebrating the incredible music community here in Branford Public Schools. You'll hear from our outstanding local Walsh Intermediate School music educators who are actively engaged in leading our music program and facilitating the joy and growth that music brings. And we are incredibly fortunate to begin this conversation with a true leader in the field of music education. Our first guest is Dr. John Feierabend, who is widely considered one of the leading authorities on music and movement development in early childhood. Dr. Feierabend is internationally known as a dynamic presenter, researcher, and author. He has written more than 70 books, recordings, and DVDs, inspiring the award-winning PBS children's television series Lomax, The Hound of Music. Throughout his career, Dr. Feierabend has remained deeply committed to collecting, preserving, and teaching the diverse folk music traditions of our country, using that rich musical heritage as a bridge to help children understand, experience, and ultimately enjoy classical music. His creativity and research have led to the development of two highly influential music education methods: First Steps in Music, a music and movement program designed for infants through elementary-age children, and Conversational Solfege, a music literacy method used with students from elementary through college. Dr. Feierabend's work has also led to the creation of the Feierabend Association for Music Education, better known as FAME, an organization dedicated to supporting music educators and advancing the teaching of these approaches. I am especially proud to say that I am a founding member of FAME, and the impact of Dr. Feierabend's work can be felt in classrooms across the country, including right here in Branford. To say it is an honor to have Dr. Feierabend with us today is truly an understatement. Let's dive in. Dr. Feierabend, welcome to the podcast.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I am excited you're here, and I do want to disclose to our listeners that I've known you for a very long time. I had the privilege of serving as your grad assistant when I was doing my master's at the Hart School.
Yes.
Yeah, decades ago.
One of the best ones I ever had.
Thank you. And I didn't even pay you to say that. Thank you. Thank you so much. So to launch our conversation on Music in Our Schools Month, I have a few questions, but we can take the conversation wherever it goes. But I wanted to start with part of your mission and your core values, and words that are associated with you are tuneful, beatful, and artful. For listeners who might hear these for the first time right now, what do you mean when you talk about tuneful, beatful, and artful human beings?
Yeah. My work tries to develop all three of these areas because sometimes music education focuses on one, two of them, but maybe not all three of them. Maybe they do focus on all three of them, but I want to be sure that we do. To be tuneful means that you can have tunes in your head. I do hope that you're able to use your voice to sing those tunes, or at least whistle those tunes. You don't need an instrument to be tuneful. You can be tuneful first. In fact, you should be tuneful first before you play an instrument. It will help you play the instrument better, more musically, if you are already tuneful. But tuneful, if I ask you right now to think happy birthday in your head, but not physically have it out loud, some people can do that better than others. And what we can do in education is to help everybody be able to do that. And if you can do that, you're more likely to be tuneful in your life. And tunes will show up in church, singing lullabies to your baby, singing happy birthday to your kids, singing in pubs with your friends, singing in the shower, or when you're driving your car. But why singing is so important is it has physical benefits as well as mental and emotional benefits for people. And I don't want anyone to be left out. I think everybody should be able to sing a lullaby to their baby, and every baby should have an adult that can sing a lullaby to them. So tuneful became an important dimension of my work. And then beatful was a word I made up. There's no such thing. Spell check hates it. It's always correcting it to be beautiful. But beatful means that you have an inner pulse and tapping your toe when you hear music. To show you the opposite side of someone that might be beatful, you may have been to a football game where people are clapping their hands in time to a cheer, and you look around and a lot of people are not on the beat. And you wonder, how is that possible? If you are a beatful person, you couldn't move not on the beat. Or I've taught classes with parents and infants where I'm teaching the parents little games where they bounce the baby on the knee, and the parent is not bouncing the baby on the beat. So this person doesn't have this intuition for beatfulness. And I created this word beatful because everybody should have this intuition for this pulse in music and feel it in their body. Artful was something that I sometimes didn't see enough of, especially my areas in early childhood and elementary school. And artfulness is sometimes thought as something that's too abstract and you have to be too developed to be able to get to the finer aspects of music, the artful parts of the music. But the truth is, when you're singing a lullaby to a baby and you're being tender with your voice, that's artfulness. Artfulness are the feeling parts of the music. When you hear the music and you feel exhilarated, or you feel the music and you think that's just beautiful, or you hear the music and you're sad. Why people gather together at a funeral to sing? When people gather to go to a funeral and everybody joins in to sing Amazing Grace, it's emotionally they're sharing their sorrow. And it's a cathartic experience for them because they're not just feeling sad alone. When you sing together with others, you're aware that you're sharing this loss with everyone else in the room. If you're not able to join in the singing, many people still attempt to sing, and that's great. They should. But if they can sing well and feel the pulse well, and also relieve their sorrow by joining in with others, synchronizing is an important word in all of this. Synchronizing in the emotions of other people is an important thing. Emotions are contagious. And if you start laughing, somebody else starts laughing. Well, if during the music you start feeling a certain response to the music, it's contagious. And the other people in the room will start feeling it also if they have the receptors to it. So my work is to try to develop those tuneful, beatful, and artful receptors in all people, not just the students that will go on to band, orchestra, and choir.
That is leaning into the next question, because one of the other, I'll say a hallmark that I associate with you is the importance of community. So why is community such an important part of musical development, and what do children gain when music is shared in classrooms, families, and communities rather than experienced in isolation?
In my lifetime, I've seen less and less community among people. 100 years ago, we were a society of music makers. We didn't have technology. So if you wanted music in your house, you either played the piano or you sang, and you sang. I did this interesting experiment 30 years ago where I went into senior citizen centers and interviewed elderly people and asked them if they remembered songs or rhymes they did with a baby in their lap. And that was 30 years ago. Those that were over 80 knew the most. The 70-year-olds knew a few, and the 60-year-olds didn't seem to know any songs or rhymes to play with babies in their laps, which tells me that in the last 100 years, we've changed from a society of music makers to a society of music consumers. And when you're a consumer, you let somebody else make the music and you sit in your car and listen to it, or you sit in your living room and listen to it, or you put the kid in front of the television and let them watch it. But it doesn't build community. You need to synchronize with other people to build community. So teaching the concept of synchronization through a dance or a song or a game will enable that person to discover the value of other humans, of the community that we live in. We need to do more to build that care about others. And synchronizing with them is one of the ways to do that.
And a connection to that, it's something that when we talk about, for example, students in high school, band, choir, and orchestra, that's an important part because that's a big sense of community. And for many students, it's the last time they ever experience that in their lives. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, I think that is an amazing thing for those students that have band, orchestra, and choir. And I was a choir kid for all my schooling years. It was cathartic for me to synchronize with other voices, not just rhythmically, but emotionally, artfully, and beatfully. Rhythmically, we had to stay in sync. We had to tune. I was a tenor, so I had to listen to the bass part to make sure my tenor wasn't just the right note, but it was in tune with the bass part and the alto part. And that requires synchronization. That requires you to listen to more than just yourself, to be aware of others. I think our world would be a whole lot better if we would all be paying attention to others and listening and responding in an appropriate ways to the limitations and the abilities of others, so that people can start having some kind of community feeling again. But you get that community feeling in band, orchestra, and choir. And the sad thing is, again, my area is really early childhood and elementary school, where most districts, 100% of the students will have a music teacher. And then some of them in upper elementary start to choose instruments or are selected to be in a choir. And those students get an additional benefit of that community of being in a band, orchestra, and choir. But the percentage nationwide of those students in elementary school that go on to band, orchestra, and choir is only 10%. So that's great for those 10%. And I know that when people, high school, give band concerts and orchestra concerts and choir concerts and the families all come, they witness that incredible synchronization of students working together for a common cause. And it's amazing for that 10%. But I'm concerned about the other 90%. And I want to know that even if you weren't in the band, orchestra, and choir, will you be able to synchronize with others if singing pops up, or if moving pops up, or if you go to a wedding, can you dance with your wife, or your future wife, or I guess it would be your wife? And would the other people, the guests, be able to enjoy dancing at your wedding? Would you be able to sing and clap your hands along at a sporting event if you're in the audience? You're not marching on the field with the 10%, but you're out there in the bleachers. And can you clap your hands in time and synchronize with everybody else in the bleachers and be a part of that community that uses music as a way of bringing us together?
Pivot a bit to talk about musical literature or repertoire. So in your work, you often talk about the importance of choosing high-quality repertoire and literature for children. You've outlined, I don't know if you call them standards. I remember a story that goes with it, but you learned it, and I've used this many times in my life as well. Can you explain what those three, I'll call them criteria, are that you kind of use as a guiding compass?
The 3 criteria for selecting?
Yes, and I'm thinking specifically about the story about the librarian that you learned them from.
Yes, thank you. That was when we moved to Simsbury, Connecticut. We had very young children, and we would take them to the library for story hour. And I befriended the children's librarian, who did such a beautiful job selecting books that she would read during that story hour. And they had, at some point after we were friendly enough, and she knew I was an early childhood interested person also, I asked her what her criteria was when she selected books, because she said, well, I only get to see these children a few times. It's a volunteer thing. There's only a few of these story hours during the year. She said it was important to her that she selected the best that would turn children on to books. She said, when they come here, I want them to see that they find something wonderful when I read a book to them, and they will want to read books also. So I delved deeper with her and asked her, well, how do you select good literature to read to these 4-year-olds? And she said she had 3 things that she thinks of. And I think those 3 things also apply to when I'm selecting good literature in music for that young age group as well, 4-year-olds to 9-year-olds, or young birth to 9-year-olds. The first one was that the song that, or the book that the children's book that she's going to share during story hour, it should be appealing to adults and children. And I think that as she spoke and explained that to me more, she said, there are lots of books that parents will think the children will like because it's cute and it's funny. The librarian would say, I asked the parent, do you like the book? And she said, well, not especially, but I think they will like it. And that is a criteria that would change my librarian friend's opinion of the book. It has to be appealing to adults and children. If it's only appealing to children, it tends to be childish. If it's appealing to adults and children, it tends to be childlike. And childlike is actually a desirable quality in adults. We want to nurture childlike in all people. She also said there has to be a sense of make-believe. That's the world of the child at that age. To be an artist, to play Chopin or Beethoven, you have to use your imagination. There is notation to guide you on the right rhythms and the right notes, and maybe a few notes about crescendos and decrescendos. But to really make the music be expressive and emotional and touch your heart, it has to come from your imagination. You have to create that. And so the librarian said the books have to have a sense of make-believe and wonder. The library has fiction and nonfiction books, but during story hour, the library never reads nonfiction books to the children. They read fiction books that have a story and make-believe in it. When I take that concept to a song, we have lots of songs that are teaching songs, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the library having nonfiction books, but that's not the goal of story hour. The story hour is the artful part of literature. So in my classroom, I like to focus on those songs that do the same thing, the songs that have make-believe in them. And we all know them, and we've done them. Like Eensy Weensy Spider is a good example because you're pretending your fingers are little spiders, and you wiggle your fingers to be the rain, and you make a great big sun with your arms. And you're doing this pretending while you're singing the song. This is a song I would advocate for children. But clap, clap, clap your hands. If I sang clap, clap, clap your hands together. Clap, clap, clap your hands together. And a lot of schools might teach that to children because they want the children to move on the beat. But I can find something that the children move on the beat that has more make-believe in it than clap, clap, clap your hands. There's no make-believe in that. The second criteria for her was that the books that she uses have trigger the child's imagination, that it has to have a sense of wonder, make-believe in it. And her last one was it has to be delicious after 30 repetitions. That was an interesting one to ponder. As I was a young parent reading Goodnight Moon to my child for the 100th time at their request, it was apparent that they do like repetition, familiarity, especially the things that have wonder and make-believe in them. So if the child says to you, no, I don't want to hear that story anymore, or I'm tired of that song, or I'm tired of that book, well, then maybe it wasn't so good in the first place. Because really, the good things stand the test of time. We enjoy coming back to them again and again because they're so delicious. I still go to concerts to hear a piece of classical music that I've heard 50 times in my life because I enjoy hearing it. It's a good piece of music. But there are certainly pieces of music after I've heard them once or twice, I don't care if I ever hear them again. The librarian's 3 criteria: appealing to adults and children, sense of make-believe, and still delicious after 30 repetitions. I apply that to my music selection in the elementary school as well.
Thank you. That's one that's always stuck with me and still use it today. Going to your specialty and your research base about early childhood, for parents of very young children, music learning often begins long before formal lessons or school programs, and they ask, like, well, what should we be doing before school? So what are some things families can do in those early years to help create the musical pathways and readiness for?
It's really insightful for you to ask that question because most people think the music education begins with the instrument. When I fly in an airplane someplace in the country and sit next to somebody, we have a conversation about what you do for a living. What do you do for a living? They ask me, and I tell them I work in the music industry. The first question they always ask me is, oh, really, what instrument do you play? Because the general public's perception is instruments are the pathway to music. And a lot of parents will go to the Suzuki route because they've heard that starting early is good. And so where can you get music education starting early? Oh, Suzuki. And then they jump over to Suzuki at 3 and 4 years old, which is way too young to put an instrument in a child's hands. The Hart School of Music here in Connecticut, where I worked, has a large Suzuki program. And I remember I was struck one year when they still had 3 and 4-year-old Suzuki. You notice I said used to have. And at the end of the year, 75% of them would drop out. And then, okay, those 25% would go on. And you'd go, well, why did those 75% drop out? Because they weren't ready for an instrument. It wasn't that they weren't musical. That time would have been better spent on child developmentally appropriate activities. That the child, before they play an instrument, should already be musical. And so your question about what should be happening in these early years before the instrument or before they even come to school is an important question. I mentioned earlier about everybody should be able to sing a lullaby to their baby. And sometimes I use that phrase in elementary school. What am I teaching my 1 and 2-year-olds to be able to do? I have a 30-year plan. When they are parents and they have their children, I want those young children, when they are adults, to be able to sing lullabies to their babies and their babies to benefit of having a parent that can sing a lullaby to them. So and why is it so important for a parent to sing a lullaby to their baby? Now we have to get into the science of the brain. The brain is developing very rapidly in the first 2 years. I have some interesting research on brain development from birth to 2 years old. And the brain is developing very rapidly from birth to 2. And around 2.5, it starts to slow down. And in fact, your brain starts eliminating neural fiber that's not being used or is not effective. Because the brain in the first 2 years is producing a great burst of growth, some of the neural fiber doesn't work at all. it's like when you plant 100 little tomato seeds right about this time of the year indoors. They're not all going to germinate the same, and you're going to thin them out at some point and get rid of the ones that are not going to produce a produce. Then you also have to nurture the ones that you've left carefully. And I use that analogy in the brain of the first 2 years of life, that the brain's going to produce a lot of neurofiber. Some of them are the tomato plants that are no good. And the brain naturally starts to eliminate them around 2 years old to make room for growth of the ones that will work. But it also has neurofiber that works, like the tomato plants that look promising. But you have to now keep watering the tomato plants. And the parallel to that in the musical development is the neurofiber that processes tune is there, but it has to be watered. And it's watered by stimulation that you sing a tune to the child. The child in the first year or year and a half is not verbal yet, but they can still perceive the tune and need to perceive the tune. Would you not talk to a 1-year-old just because a 1-year-old can't talk? Of course, that's the time period they're assimilating language. And when they slowly start to coordinate their lips and tongue to make those sounds, then it emerges the investment that the parent has done with the child. Reading books to young children and having adult-like conversations with them is a very beneficial thing as it develops language and vocabulary. Then later on, when they get to elementary school around 4 or 5 years old, they start to learn there's a way they can see language. It's called the alphabet. And they start seeing all these thousands of words they've already learned. The brain processes language first by ear, and then later we learn that there's a visualization of it called the alphabet, and we learn to read this language. And music should be taught the same way from birth to 5. It's not notation. They should not learn where's middle C and what this is a quarter note. They should learn the language of music, which is tunes, and these 3 things that we mentioned earlier: tuneful, beatful, artful experiences. We want to stimulate the brain so it's nourished with tuneful, beatful, artful while it's growing. And then when they are 5 years old and they can sing in tune and they can move on the beat just comfortably, intuitively, well, maybe now they're ready for an instrument. Maybe now they're ready to learn there's a way you can see music. It's called notation. But teaching notation and teaching an instrument before that's in place, the student will probably drop out of instrument lessons within a year.
I have a final question, but before we go to the final question, is there anything that is important for messaging for you that you want to say?
I think that we should. The elementary school is more important than people think. Too many times in the past, elementary school has been a training ground for band, orchestra, and choir. And the curriculum has been developed for those students that will go on to band, orchestra, and choir. And what about the 90% that are not going on to band, orchestra, and choir? So I think the curriculum needs to be broader. I think the curriculum needs to be, how do we think 30 years from now what we want every parent to be able to do? And we should be teaching these 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds those musical skills right now. If we do that with 100% of the students, those that go on to band, orchestra, and choir are going to do even better in band, orchestra, and choir. And those that don't, they will be able to synchronize with other people when they're 30 years old, or synchronize with their baby when they're 30 years old. And they will be able to have music as an important part of their life, which is the goal. Music should be an important part of 100% of the population's life.
So this might be a cousin to that question. And you might not like it, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I'm going to talk about your influence. So you've influenced generations of music educators at this point who are going to thereby influence generations to come. When you think about your legacy, what do you hope will be a lasting contribution that you've made to the field of music education?
Well, about 15 years ago, we started a national organization, the Feierabend Association for Music Education. And I think that will be the legacy. I think as long as we can keep this in front of people, that people can keep hearing this message. I was concerned because now that I'm in my mid-70s, 10 years, 15 years from now, who's going to continue driving this message home? Because it will fade if it's not driven home. So starting this organization was an important way of ensuring that this word will be preserved. And we continue to do an interesting procedure of endorsing certain people to carry the word forward. We call them teacher trainers. We have about 15 of them across the United States, Australia, and Canada. And they are now offering these lectures and helping parent classes and doing summer seminars. And I think my legacy is that this message will continue after I'm not here to give it. but there will be a series of trained people that will speak intelligently to audiences, parents, school boards. And we'll have a national organization to support resources, demonstrations, and encourage people to see the value of helping others synchronize with one another. So my legacy is, and I never really set out to have a legacy. I'm just a little kid from Detroit that didn't even have an elementary school program. But my mom sang to me every day, and my mom and dad liked to dance. Neither of them played an instrument, but it was quite clear that they were musical in retrospect. And I wonder if every child could have had my mom and dad, and whether they went on to music or not like I did, they still would have had the right thing happening to them at the right time. So I feel my legacy is that I took this message and I made it my evangelical mantra, and I take every opportunity I can to anyone that will listen to me. I'm happy to tell them about why they should sing to their babies and why synchronizing with one another in music will make the world a better place for all of us to live.
Right. Well, that's a perfect place for the double bar line. Thank you so much for joining us here in Branford.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And for more information on John Feierabend, you can check out the famed website, feierabendmusic.org. It is my pleasure to welcome our talented music educators from Walsh Intermediate School. I'm going to have them each introduce themselves and say a little bit about their background. So we'll start with Lisa.
Hi, I am Lisa Zimma. I teach orchestra here at Walsh. This is year 4 in the district. It's year 11 in schools, if I can do math well.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Kathy Bonka. It's been quite a few years here in Branford, let's say closer to 30-ish, and they've all been great years. I teach 5th and 6th grade band and 7th and 8th grade electives, keyboard and history of rock.
I am Rachel Hancheruck. I am the choral teacher here at Francis Walsh Intermediate. This is my first year at Walsh, but my 9th year in Branford Public Schools. Previously was at Mary T. Murphy, but I'm excited to be here.
And I'm Jesse White. I teach mainly 7th and 8th grade band, as well as the digital music recording studio, rock band. This is my 9th year in the district and 11 overall.
Great. Thank you all. So a first question, a little bit about you and thinking about your own music experience that you've had. When you think back to your, whether elementary, middle, or high school experience, do you remember any particular time that was like an ensemble that you loved being part of or something you really looked forward to? And you don't have to have an answer to this because I would have a hard time saying my music experience was great. But even though my music experience wasn't great, I still loved going to those classes.
I think, I specifically really loved being a part of my middle school chorus. That's where I first got the opportunity because I started taking piano lessons at a really young age. I think it was 4. And I really had the opportunity to hone my skills, and my teachers let me flourish. They let me start accompanying the groups. I started becoming a relied upon accompanist. So that was my big shining moment.
Awesome.
I loved my junior high school band program, and my director was a very, very tough guy, but took the time to work with us personally and challenged us. And I was a little bit of a slacker at the beginning of junior high school, and he took me aside and said, I really think you can do better, and really challenged all of us in our own unique ways. And I took what he said to me to heart and really blossomed there. And he was not an easy conductor, but I learned so much from him.
Mine was my high school chorus. I loved all of my music experiences through my childhood. I was super invested across the board, but it was my high school chorus teacher, Ned B. Fleischer. There's just something about his room and the way that he let us be who we were, but always gave us the opportunity to be better people. He let me and my friend Danielle sit on a table instead of at actual chairs, but he knew that we were going to do our job singing, and it was our place.
I would have to say that I got the bug in 6th grade. My band director, his name was Elliot Glass. He was a trombone player, and at that point I was a saxophone player mainly. But it was jazz band that bit me. And then going into high school, I was doing bari sax, I was playing tuba, I was doing marching band, there was concert band, there was jazz, it was just anything music related. I kind of just lived in that wing. That was home.
You all got what I was saying when it didn't have to be a great experience. I think you know what I
Yeah.
meant. I actually meant that we weren't necessarily great performers, but that time and that experience and those classes were still so special for all of the reasons that you were.
I absolutely understand that. Fifth grade experience, I played a wrong note after the conductor cut off in our first concert.
You were that guy.
I was that guy.
Many music educators attribute like one of their formative experiences to the reason they wanted to be a music teacher.
Mhm.
So some of you shouted out a teacher. Was it that experience, or was it a teacher that really gave you the bug, or was it a musical family, or did you know this was always what you wanted to do?
I always knew. I was third grade. I remember it was Mrs. Mosier was my third grade teacher, and I was like, I want to be a music teacher. And
Here you are.
here I am.
Hmm. My experience was it's a little bit of a sad story, but I started taking piano. I mentioned as at 4, I think I said, and I would go drive every single Wednesday at 4 o'clock over to North Branford. My mom would park her car at the bottom of a hill when it snowed really bad, and I'd have to hike it up just to make it to my piano lesson. And when I was a sophomore in high school, she was diagnosed with leukemia and passed when I was in my junior year. And that was kind of my very big moment of like, what do you want to do when you get into the real world? So that's kind of where I was like, you know what? I want to kind of take what she was teaching me and do what she was doing and give that back to the younger crowd. I was less of I want to perform well and more of I want to help others perform.
I think I always enjoyed music. It was never on my chart of being a music teacher. I loved my junior high school music, but from 6th grade through high school, I was in a youth orchestra in Bridgeport, and we had a wonderful conductor. And at different points, it wouldn't be the beginning of the season or the end of the season, he would invite people to come up and conduct. And to get up on the podium for the first time on my own, I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. Playing flute was cool, but to be up there on a podium and like I went home and I told my parents about it, and my father was like, maybe you should think about that. And that was kind of my little aha moment. But
I love that because it's parents encouraging you to go into the arts too. That's great.
Yeah. I think with me, it was, I fell in love with music really in middle school. And then I was actually slated to go to a vocational school for high school, Tri-County Regional Vocational School up in Massachusetts, with an idea of going for culinary. And then I found out and thought about it about a week before school was starting freshman year. I wasn't going to be able to do music at all. And so I changed my mind and I went to my public high school in North Attleboro, and here we are now. So it was just
mm,
one of those. I still love cooking. I do it every day. But I had to have music as part of my life.
That's great. The One of the other pieces when I think back to my own music experiences, uh, you felt really, I don't know, either successful, I don't know if that's the right word, or you felt proud of how the ensemble did together, or you felt someone that cared about you was proud of you for the work that you were doing. So with that, and this does not have to be music related, can you remember the last time you told someone you were proud of them, or someone told you that they're proud of you?
My mother tells me she's proud of me all the time. I don't know.
My mother's proud of my dog. She loves my dog. I told a kid yesterday, I've had an 8th grader who for the last couple days has been coming into practice specifically during her lunchtime, because she's fasting for Ramadan. So like she's been coming in and she's been working, and I'm like, girl, I'm proud of you. Like keep doing this. This is exciting. Like she can hear the progress. I can hear the progress. And I'm like, this has been a missing piece for her, is that consistency of practicing outside of class. And I think it's been really solid. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that continues.
mm.
What?
Oddly enough, the same student, different class.
Mm-hmm.
actually also told her that I was proud of her because she decided to challenge herself and pick up drum set this trimester in rock
And
band,
yeah.
and was like, "Mr. White, what else can I do? Give me something new. Give me something new.
Yeah.
Give me a new challenge." And this was every other class that she'd ask for a new challenge. I want to show you this. This is what I've been working on.
She told me that she's been working on it. She's like, let me show you what I've been working on in rock band. I'm like, fantastic. Let's put all of these exciting things and just that joy of like, I'm getting better at this. I was like, keep it going. Keep moving forwards.
I think you're starting to answer my next question, because the method to my madness of the question was, why do some students experience success in the music classroom that might not experience other success throughout the day? What is it about a music room?
It's tangible. Like the success is heard and the success is seen. So therefore it is felt, I think, more internally. Sorry, Kath, I cut you off.
No, not at all. No, I was just going to say, I think we see the kids in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of a couple of kids in my keyboard electives that some people talk about and go, oh my goodness. And I'm like, they're doing great. We give them the freedom to find their interest wherever that may be and grow from there. So
Not only that freedom, though, but y'all have done a really nice job of giving them that freedom to understand that failure is something that's
Mhm.
okay,
Mm.
that they're able to move on, they're able to grow from it, they're able to learn from it. We've all shown them that even we fail. We make mistakes and go, ooh, that was interesting. Hey, let's try that
Okay.
again for me. And I think they're starting to realize that it's okay to make those mistakes. And that's why they feel safe doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
The big idea with teaching and why we teach is, we often say we teach for transfer, meaning the skills that students will have after they leave us, right? So students might not ever play their trumpet again or a violin again. They might not ever sing in a choir again. But what do you think are those skills we're teaching for transfer that are really life skills?
Go ahead, Jesse. Just raising his hand.
My wife and I, we sing to our girls every night before bed.
I have quite a few parents, kids in 5th grade that are talking about their parents are bringing out their instrument
Mhm.
either from the basement or the attic, and the kids, they bring home the lesson book, and the 2 of them are playing together. So maybe mom, dad haven't been playing, but they remember and have such a good feeling about playing music that they're doing it together, and the kids are loving it, that they come in and they go, "Oh, I played with dad this song the other night," and that's, like, worth the world to me, so that's very cool. Um, I don't do it now, but I used to direct a town band here in Branford, and we had people from all different walks of life. Nobody was a music teacher, but, who was a lawyer. I had an AP photographer, and they all just loved making music and coming back and being grown-ups. They took an hour and a half every week to go play their instruments, so
There's something to be said about being a part of something that's bigger than just you, right?
Mhm.
Everybody, you know, not everybody, but lots of people want the opportunity to be the star on the stage, the spotlight's on them, but how rare it is to put yourself into a piece of a giant puzzle to create a huge
Mhm.
picture of something beautiful.
I do think there's a lot of transferable things, though, that are not just singing with your kids or playing with your new students. We were just talking about that safety to fail. One of the things that we do on a daily basis, because it's how you learn, is the steps, right? We go through small steps of how to get from knowing nothing to knowing something. And I often remind my kids that even if they're not going to play even past 8th grade, past high school, wherever their endpoint is on their instrument, there is this skill of, this is hard, but I can figure it out and I can do it. They probably hate hearing me say it all the time, but I'm like, I'm going to say it obnoxiously because you gotta remember that like things are achievable. And the same way that we in music break it down to all of these different steps, you can do that outside of this space. You can do that in whatever challenges are coming at you in life. And sometimes you just have to take the step back and go, I can do hard things. And that's what we do.
It's actually funny because I think we were talking about it earlier outside of here that, music itself is a discipline first, right? You have to have the ability, not even the ability, but you have to be able to sit down and practice if you want to improve at your craft. So inherently, we're trying to teach these skills to these kids that if you want to get better, it's happening outside the classroom.
That's great. And thanks for touching on the musical side and then the not musical side. Of course, being a former music teacher, I like to think that there's so many foundational things about being a musician that have
Definitely.
really shaped like part of who I am, but also very much how I want to interact with people and how you rely on each other to get work done.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from being in an ensemble. It's like every
Definitely. Yeah.
part matters, every voice matters, every instrument matters, and how we complement each other in that process is the result of the overall quality.
Friends of mine in the corporate world always talk about how hiring former music and theater kids is so helpful to their corporate community because of that work ethic and that understanding that I have my job and you have your job, yes, but if we don't both do our jobs, the whole job don't work, right? Like, so it's always a nice reminder to me in my day-to-day that what we do matters long beyond here. And it can play such a role outside of my classroom, outside of our wing of the building, outside of our district.
So we might have some listeners who have not picked up their instrument in many years or like even maybe. All right, so you're answering the question.
Yes.
So if someone who is not of youth is thinking about
Young at heart, I think is what you mean.
there we go. Thank you. That is so much kinder than the path that I was going. So what would you tell them if they either wanted to get the instrument out of the basement or attic, or if they wanted to start an instrument for the first time? Because that's a bucket list item for many people, but they just think it's too hard, it's too late.
So I picked up this rock band class. This is the second year of it. Prior to this, everyone always asked me, "Oh, you're a band director. Do you play guitar?" And my answer would always be, "Yeah, I'm on like year 0 of the 30-year plan trying to figure this thing out." And I started picking it up well as like playing bass and all that, specifically for this rock band class. I have had so much fun with it. Like I can't put it down. So I think you just have to rip off the Band-Aid, do it. Find somebody that's in your area that has done it before. Private lessons are a great thing. There's so many options out there all over the place that they can get you started, help you get picked back up to wherever you were before. But rip the Band-Aid off. Do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kath, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's just so many opportunities to get an instrument. There are so many places, like Jesse was saying, for lessons and everything, that if it's on your bucket list, you really should do it. It's so much fun.
Like Nike says, just do it.
I think one of the most underrated things, you have, at least from the way that I gather, is so many people have, they're like, oh, you need to go do this, you need to go do that, you need to follow these steps in order to be a musician. No, you don't. If you want to get your start looking at videos on YouTube, start looking at videos on YouTube, as long as they're reputable,
Yeah.
right? But it's one of those things where you have resources that are at the tip of your fingers now. Take advantage.
And there's just so much I think we have to do in our lives. Like you need to take care of the house and you need to do the laundry and mow the lawn or whatever. But this is something I think everybody's got to do something for themselves. And music just fills that so greatly. You can start with whatever type of music you like. It's very personal.
One of the fun things you could potentially do is if you have a kid that is, or any relative that's in a band program, an orchestra program that's taking piano lessons, have them teach you.
It's so good for them and it's so good for you.
Yeah.
say, "Oh, hey, you're playing the clarinet. I want to learn that. I'm going to go get one. Can you teach me? What are you working on right now?" Have that connection. Lisa, you have cousins and like all those things and like your nieces,
My
nephews,
nieces and nephews.
right? And
Somehow they're all string players, and my siblings, who are all band kids, have thoughts and feelings. And I did not force that on any of them. But it's super fun because they love showing me what they know. But at the same point, I've had, you know, we've had subs in our classrooms who are just like there to sit during a prep, and I'm like, okay, choose an instrument, and then I have a 10-year-old sit next to them, be like, teach them what you know, and it's so helpful for the kid to be like, let me explain the things, and then they look at me and they're like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but also it gives that person the opportunity. It's just I'm with Jesse. Yeah, you got to rip that Band-Aid. You can do hard things.
Yeah, I think also in the spirit of you can learn from YouTube, because you also don't have to know how to read music in like the traditional music literacy sense, and it's okay if you don't get there. Like that's not the ultimate goal, I don't think, and you can disagree. And I'm just thinking about I think it was 3 Christmases ago, my brother-in-law asked for a guitar. And now, 3 years later, the way he's playing the guitar is pretty impressive. And 3 of their 4 kids have now picked up the guitar.
That's
And they're still in their years of like from middle school through high school.
Yeah.
So the kids are in choir and in band, but they're also learning to play an instrument in another way.
Yeah.
In addition to the way that they might more traditionally learn in school. So there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. Is that the saying?
To what?
To eat a Reese's? Is that the right slogan?
Oh, is it at the Reese's?
Or is it an Oreo? I think it might be an Oreo.
No, I think it's a different candy. I don't know. We're gonna have to Google it later.
Either way, that sounds.
Either way,
All
there's
right.
so what if you
Reese's
think
Cup.
about how jazz started? It was all by rote. There was no written music for it anyways.
And even the written music now, sometimes I'm like, whoa, can we just go by vibes?
Yep.
You know?
Exactly.
And I think it also depends on what your goal is. If you want to be musically literate, then that's your goal. If you want to just be able to play the guitar, then that's your goal. If you just want to be able to, I don't know, do horn rips on the French horn, then that's your goal.
I know of a lot of handbell choirs that instead of going by like sheet music, they take the words of the lyrics and they'll circle like, what word do you play on? So that way you can hear everything, like you know how the song goes, and it requires you to have that. Not requires, but like you have that ear to know. Oh, this is the rhythm of the song. At what point do I play? And then you have 3 different notes playing at one time, and you're like, ooh, that sounds nice.
But just whatever way you can learn, even some of the kids in keyboard classes, you find out who's got a great ear, and they're like, oh, I just figured out this song. However their pathway is to music, I think that's great.
And then we
So-
hear that one song over and over. Once they figure it out, come to my room, you will hear the opening of Piano Man a lot.
I have been hearing Raindrops Are Falling on My Head for the past 30
Amazing.
years from my father, so I get it.
Amazing. Great song.
And we all did the same thing. In a practice room, it's like, I'm going to keep practicing what I already know how to play.
Before going on to the next step, and much to all RCJ's chagrin.
So I'm going to ask the magic wand question of if you had a magic wand and you can make one wish for what would enhance our programming in Branford Public Schools, what would you like to see happen?
Just one.
And it's a magic wand, which also equates to a blank check. Like, so no matter what it could cost, what's the thing? But it's not like 3 wishes. It's one wish.
I was gonna, just one wish.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to wish for all new bows.
No, that's too low hanging for this.
No, that's too low hanging fruit.
Homogeneous group lessons.
say
Grade
that.
5 through 8, chorus, band, and orchestra.
Okay, it's out there.
I think
Let's put them in the universe.
instruments for kids who wanted to play band. So there's not we do quite a bit of it, but instruments out there you want to play, here's your instrument.
A magical updated inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say unlimited access and also widespread awareness, because I bet a lot of kids don't even think about it.
Yes.
Like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get that. I can't.
We talk
try
about it.
so hard.
Mhm.
Yeah. We constantly are like, we will do everything in our power to make sure you get to play what you want. And we try and put that into our kids' brains and the parents' brains as much as we can, because we want you to find joy in music. And if a rental fee is not in the budget for your family, we are going to do everything we can to help get you what you need, because that's important to us, that you're enjoying what you're learning. And it's one of those that makes not just our teaching experience of the kid better, it makes their experience better. It makes their classmates' experience better because they're enjoying what they're doing instead of feeling a little bit about where they are.
Any other wishes?
Oh, are you?
Oh,
Okay. I didn't know what that symbol
my
meant.
wish.
What's your wish?
My wish. Ooh.
World peace. Sister. I mean, yes, but like, this isn't Miss America.
I mean, I guess my wish is I wish kids would really truly reflect on what their want is. Because so often we see, I can't afford to play an instrument, so I'm going to go do chorus. I don't want to spend time practicing an instrument, so I'm going to go to performance exploratory. And we want kids to be able to find something that they're interested in and be able to take pride in the work that they create. Not just, I know about music, but really get a lot of the process of making it.
If I had a magic wand, I would like to make my room slightly bigger.
Though I am envious of the windows.
I know I have windows and it's very exciting. I'm the only one of us who does. I have had the best problem in these last couple years where I'm out of physical room for the kids in my room. So like right now I have a 6th grade class of 25 and we have pokey sticks that can very easily poke in the eyeball if you're not sitting at the right angle. And I have to sit in a certain way and I only have so much room to change up into different setups and all of that. So I would just just a little bit more room. It's a great problem.
Yes.
I'm not upset about the problem. I'm very proud of that problem. I'm very proud of my kids. We're doing great stuff in the orchestra world. Just like a little, like an extra couple feet on the side. Would be great. A little bit more storage, for basses. I don't know where they're gonna go. I've got 2 more in my room right now that they don't have a home.
Okay, so you can't use them.
A second one.
We only need one. I can't say dig out the pit.
Can I get a second one? No, I don't. That's not my second one.
I know that. Well, that's you said for you, not me.
No, but okay, my second one.
Uh-huh.
If I had, because I have 2 hands, like a one.
Yeah.
Right. I want a mezzanine in the auditorium. See, there you go. So yeah, see,
All right.
mezzanine. Okay.
Sectionals.
Well, but if we had homogenous lessons,
Yeah.
we're just like, yeah.
Right, you went in a very different. I thought someone was going to say lessons starting earlier.
Oh, we do want that too.
That's been my thing.
Okay,
We want all of those things.
right. I have one final question in the age of AI. I don't know if any of you have heard of. I think it's Tilly Norwood. That's been like the story.
I have heard about Tilly,
Okay, so
the AI person.
so Tilly's the AI person / actress. There's a music video, and there's lots of controversy happening with like the actors unions right now and what role
I've heard of
AI is
that.
trying to play. So is AI, as Tilly Norwood would saying, is it a tool or is it going to do things that are not helpful to the industry? So it's a prediction question for music at our schools.
I have already kind of seen this. There's a lot of AI being used in the music world right now. One that automatically comes to my head is Suno. You plug in a prompt and it pumps out a song of whatever that prompt was. You can say, I need a country song about the Eiffel Tower, and it will give you a full rhyming song with a fully written melody sung by what sounds like a human being. And it begs the question of, is this going to be helpful or is this just going to take over? I have seen it work in some pretty cool ways, but I don't think it gives that same factor of, I made this. I did this.
I have this fear of AI across the board, to be honest, that it's taking away the human thought process. And like I hear about it from kids being like, oh, I'm just gonna use, my Snapchat AI to like do my homework. I'm like, well, that's a choice. But I think when we go into the world of music, it's where does all of our own neural pathways that are lit up by doing the music things.
Mm.
If we just go to AI for that, how many of us across a generation lose that mental engagement that we gain from physically doing the music, right? Physically learning an instrument, physically performing in an ensemble, in a chorus, in a band, in an orchestra. Like, I think it's just another way that we don't engage our brains. And I worry about what that not just does to us in the music world, but what that does to society. When you don't have to do your own thinking, why do it? You know?
Yeah, and I wonder if it will spark joy in the same way. So if
Yeah.
if you didn't grow up in the tradition of making music as a consumer only, what happens in the spirit of the neural pathways? Like what's lighting up
Yeah.
when you listen?
But there's also the creativity you're talking about, some stuff, Lisa, but the personal enjoyment of making music on your own, not just pressing a button and say, let AI do it for me. It's just not the same.
Yeah, and if you watch the Tilly video, I'm not endorsing Tilly. It's a hot topic of the moment.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning of the video, it says something like it took 18 people to create this. Like if you throw it as a artificially produced piece, it still takes artistry, but in a very different way.
And I think that's where it's important to kind of think about it. It's sort of a tool, right? Here's my use of ChatGPT right now. I can type in ChatGPT. If I have to write down my thoughts, I take them and I put them into like this pile of hotness and I hand it to people and I go, hey, can you make me sound smart on this? It's really helpful. So thank you so much. Much
Are
appreciated.
you saying that I'm your ChatGPT?
I'm all of y'all are my ChatGPT because I just go, hey, please make me sound smart. I think it has a place. Like if you are somebody that you're at home and you're working on this music and you're trying to write something, whatever you're doing, and you want to try and produce that, right? There's so many opportunities with like your digital workstations and everything that you may not have all those tools and knowledge to be able to do it, but you want to come out with a really good sounding product. You might be able to use some AI to have that product, but used in a certain way rather than just having it do everything for you. So I think that's kind of the important thing is like it's a tool, but don't use that for absolutely everything.
I think it needs to be used in congruence, right? Together with
Right.
the physical side of it.
I think it's also a piece of like just in regular science, you use it or lose it. Muscles. If you don't use the muscle, it is going to, what's that word?
Deteriorate?
Yes. Thanks. Sorry.
Good job, Jazzy.
That's my ChatGPT for the day.
Okay, good job. You made it.
Yay. Like if you are speaking a language in high school, I was able to speak so much Spanish. And then right out of high school, I had a job that really required me and tested my Spanish speaking skills. And then it fell off and I don't speak as much of that anymore. So I don't remember as much.
That was me in calculus. Great at calculus in high school. Went out of my brain immediately. And I did not get a minor in math like I planned.
Okay, last question. If you were to do it all over again and you had a choice to either keep your major instrument, what your major instrument was, or would you have picked a different instrument? Totally random for our final question.
Okay.
So you have to say what your instrument kind of is and then what
I would.
do.
Okay, so I'm a violist. Okay, and I thoroughly enjoy being a violist. And if I didn't go to college for violaing, I would not like my skills went from like being a good viola player to like being real solid, consistent, great. However, Jesse knows exactly what I'm going to say. I have been playing the French horn recently and I love it. I'm really enjoying it. Like that's been my instrument that I've picked up over the last couple of years. And like, I've been playing in the Guilford Town Band and I'm having a great time. And it's like, that is my next goal of wanting to be able to like play in the pit on a French horn. I think that'd be cool. Just saying. Not that I don't know if I'd go back and like, maybe, yes, yeah, no. And I don't know.
Well, here's where it's weird is, so I kind of already did this. So
Yeah,
I did kind of rewrite.
you did.
So in 5th grade, I started with saxophone, and I was terrible at it. But then I picked up the bigger saxophones, and I played bari sax for a while, and then I ended up learning tuba, and I went to college for tuba, and my degree says tuba, and now I get paid more to play commercially for trumpet. So that's kind of where I'm at.
You kind of did it.
Yeah. But also French horn and euphonium.
Yeah, I know.
I guess
Middle
mine
one.
kind of goes back to that story I told about my piano teacher, and I was talking about it. We were talking about it. Was it yesterday? Yeah. I went to school. I went to UHart for voice, as a music education vocal emphasis, and I was wondering yesterday about how
Mhm.
different my life would be if I went with the piano route. But when all that stuff happened, I refused to find a piano teacher because she meant the world
Yeah.
to me. But I would have gone for piano otherwise.
I'm a flutist, started flute in 6th grade, but as a band teacher, play little bits and pieces. And Jesse's walked in lately. I've been playing trombone and everything, and
It's so
it's a
much
whole
work,
lot.
man.
It's more work
So
than being a
much
flutist.
I know. It's like the stretching.
But personally, for me, my happy place is on flute.
I knew that was going to be the answer. I don't know why. I thought that you were going to be hardcore. That's what it is for me.
I find that about most flute players, though. Like, when they are a flute player, they are a flute player. And, like, where, as a violist, like, we're a middle voice, right? Like, I started out on my first instrument was piano, and then I learned, in addition to piano, I started taking violin in schools. And it was in high school, my private lessons teacher, I absolutely love her. But she had her viola out one day, and I was like, oh my God, what's that?
Thank you for ending with me on a very random question, and I'll answer it too. I think I was a vocalist and played piano, but I always wish I could really play the oboe.
Honestly, I respect that.
You can start now.
No,
We
Probably have
We'll
one.
have an 8th grader that actually just picked it up. Why? Because he wanted to
If you wanted to. Yeah.
rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Just do it.
All right. So on that note, I'll
We're gonna
give an
not find
update
you.
for Music in Our Schools month next year on the podcast. We'll provide an update on how I'm progressing with the oboe.
You just need to walk down the hall.
We could do a quartet or a quintet.
Ooh. I played oboe for a semester in college in the concert band because why not?
I played for 2 weeks in college, like every instrument. Yeah. So you don't want to hear me out.
It's okay. We can help you.
All right. Thank you all for joining me, and happy Music
Thank
in Our...
P.S.
Thank you.
As we wrap up this episode of Hive Mind Headlines, I want to take a moment to extend a few special thank yous. First, a sincere thank you to Dr. John Feierabend for joining us and for sharing his wisdom, passion, and lifelong commitment to music education. Dr. Feierabend's work has shaped the ways countless educators approach teaching music, and he has helped generations of students experience music not just as a subject, but a meaningful part of their lives. I also want to recognize and thank the Walsh Intermediate School music team for their dedication, creativity, and unwavering commitment to our students. Every day, they create spaces where students can explore, collaborate, and grow through music. The impact of that work reaches far beyond performances or concerts. It helps students build confidence, discipline, creativity, and a lifelong appreciation for the arts. And finally, I want to thank the Branford community for the continued support of music and the arts in our schools. Programs like these thrive because families, educators, and community members recognize the value that the arts bring to a well-rounded education. When we invest in music education, we are investing in the whole child, helping students develop skills that will serve them not only in school, but throughout their lives. Music has the power to connect us, to tell our stories, and to bring communities together. During Music in Our Schools month, it's especially important to celebrate the educators, students, and supporters who make these experiences possible. Thank you for listening to this episode of Hive Mind Headlines. Until next time, let's continue to support the arts, celebrate the power of music, and work together to create opportunities for every student to find their voice. You can catch new episodes of Hive Mind Headlines on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and our district website at branfordschools.org. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to help others find the show. Let's celebrate all that makes Branford special.